Hey there, everyone. How's everyone's night going? My night's going pretty good. I just watched one hell of a show. It was fucking fantastic. Kicked off with an Iron Man match, which was mind-blowing. Night ended in chaos. Knockouts championship match, tag team championship match happened. A lot to discuss. Let's get to it. And yeah. BTI kicks off with an Iron Man match. Josh Alexander versus TJP. The winner of the first match got started pretty quickly, and it was more of a technical base, like understanding each other's opponents. Like, there was not much physicality involved. There was just submissions, holds, trying to figure out, to weasel out and stuff. But the first fall was Josh Alexander. He pinned TJP. Hey, Jared. One part in the match, Josh Alexander lost his headgear. Like, he lost his headgear. I think TJP accidentally knocked it off. So that was fun to see. There was also one part of the match where I didn't understand this one. There was one thing I didn't understand. Josh Alexander was setting up the divine intervention on the outside of the ring. But PD said no and stopped him. Then TJP saw an opening and slapped Josh and spit at him. Josh kicked him in the face and dragged him to the top of the ramp to attempt a divine intervention again. But PD, Sabin, and Trey are all saying don't do it. TJP takes advantage and plants Josh on the ramp. TJP gets in the ring. The ref starts counting. Josh staggers back in the ring and makes it just in time for the 10 count. That part confused the hell out of me. What is that? I didn't understand that at all. Like, it's a match. It's an Iron Man match. Did they not want TJP to get hit with the divine intervention because of the Alex Shelley fiasco? Because after we saw him do the same thing to Alex Shelley, we haven't seen him. I'll get to that, Jared. Don't worry. Yeah, so was this a way to prevent further damage to the roster or something? I didn't really understand it. But they were in a submission war in the last, I want to say 8 minutes. Josh had his ankle lock for a good 3 minutes. Then at the last 5 seconds, 7 seconds, my bad, TJP rolls out and covers Josh Alexander, and TJP gets the pin with 1 second to spare. Now it's time for sudden death. One fall to a finish. And it went to, what a match. That was incredible. Josh Alexander retains. That was a fantastic match. One of the best matches I've ever seen. A lot to go on, a lot to discuss, but too much was going on to discuss it. I'm not a play-by-play commentator, so I can't really list what happened, but that was a fantastic match. I will watch it again on YouTube in its entirety. That was great. Next up, the tables match. Rohit Raju versus Jake Something. It was a fantastic match. Didn't really see many tables get set up in interesting ways, which kind of bummed me out. But one table was set up in the corner, and Rohit throws a chair at Jake Something's head. It hits the corner of it hits the back of his head with that little end of the chair, the stub. Hits the back of his head, and he brushes it off and gets angry and spears Rohit through a table, and that ends the match. Great match. I love table matches. Next up, Rich Swann versus Morrissey. Rich Swann walks to the ring, right? He does his little entrance, dances, and does his thing. Well, he's dancing on the outside of the ring. Morrissey, I'm not going to call him W. Morrissey. Morrissey was looming behind Swann, stalking his prey, sort of like what Randy Orton does. And Morrissey attacks him, then throws him into the guardrail. Rich was overpowered. Security came out to the ring to stop it. One security guard gets choked out by Morrissey. Willie Mack comes from behind and hits W. Morrissey in the back of the head with a chair. And then they pull Morrissey back to not try to get attacked not for him to attack Willie Mack. He's like, all right, I'll back out. I'll leave. I made my point. So that was interesting. And then we get a little update that it will be W. Morrissey versus Rich Swann at Against All Odds. Fun stuff. Next up, we get into a backstage segment with Rosemary, and she discusses how it's been too long that the Shadow has granted her a chance at the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. So she discusses the opportunity. Havoc comes to her, like, what we have going on is great, but don't forget, I want that Knockouts Championship. So whether you get it first or I get it first, I want it. And Rosemary was like, well, if I win it, you will be the first person to challenge for it. And then we get a little segment where we're thrown into a match where if Havoc beats Rosemary next week, it will be a triple threat match for the Knockouts Championship, and Deanna was not pleased with that news. Next up at the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, Fire and Flavor versus Jordan Grace. What a match. It was a fantastic match. These ladies brought it, but at the end of the day, Fire and Flavor retained the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. They are eager, they are arrogant, they are brash, they are cocky, they are flavored. I'm going to say that word, flavored. So they're on their high horse thing. They walk up to Scott D'Amore's office, and I don't understand why they did this. Like, it's funny because it backfired on them, but they know knocking on Scott D'Amore's door is always bad news for the wrestlers. I mean, they knock on the door in a really arrogant kind of way, like making a tune, and Scott D'Amore comes out and he's irritated. And Tasha and Kira are saying there's no more competition. We beat everyone. Like, who's next? And Scott D'Amore says, well, funny you should say that, because I have two knockouts here that are really mad at you guys for what you did last week to them. Susan comes out, you touched me inappropriately. Now you have to pay for it. So apparently it will be Susan and Kimberly challenging Tasha Steelz and Kira Hogan at Against All Odds for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Might want to watch out how you knock on Scott D'Amore's door in the future. It's never a good idea. Up next, Kojima versus Diener. What a fantastic match. What a fantastic debut. During the match, BBD tried getting involved, but Rhino was stopped by the ref. Joe was stopped by Defensive Eddie. After Kojima got the upper hand, he laid out Diener with a devastating lariat. And that's the end of that. Kojima made a fantastic debut. I didn't understand why they made him debut against Diener, because I didn't know if there was history there. But Kojima just went out there and brought it. And it was my first It was my first time witnessing a Kojima match, so I was pretty excited for that. Good match, definitely a rewatch. Uh, and then we go backstage. Eric Young is talking about failure and how failure has loomed and groomed. And out comes Decay with a little tidbit I didn't know. I didn't know Eric Young trained Crazy Steve. Did you all know that? So that was interesting. And then Crazy Steve was like, "Well, you talk about failure. How about you put up those tag team championships against Decay at Against All Odds?" And Eric Young looked at his crew, looked at back, and he's like, "Done." Like, so it's official. The DVD will face Decay at Against All Odds for the knockout, the tag team championships. So fun match. Next up is the main event: Moose versus Callahan. This was a great match. Like, I'm not even kidding. That was a fantastic match. That all started on it started on the outside, most of it. Like, Callahan was going after Moose's arm. I don't know why he wanted to pick up the arm, but he found a point in there, and he wanted to take advantage of it. So during the match, he focused on the arm, like anything possible, putting his arm through a guardrail, hitting it in suplexing moves, grabbing it and arm barring it. But during the whole match, Moose was overpowering Sami Callihan, and then like near the end of the match, Sami had the upper hand, and here's where it gets interesting. But the match ended in disqualification. Just when Sami had Moose ready for the package pile driver, the Good Brothers came out and attacked Callihan. And they delivered a magic killer on Callihan. Then they worked on Moose. Out comes Kenny and Don Callis, loving what they are seeing. They all, except for Don Callis, he stays on the outside of the ring. They all beat up Moose and Callihan, just pound them while they're on the floor, and leave them lying out there on the mat. So they're very happy about what they did. They come backstage boasting and like, "Oh, that was a lot of fun. Let's do it again. Praise the Lord. Do that." And they're all in a good mood. Scott D'Amore comes up and like, "Oh, that's how it's going to go down." So Don Callis is like, "Oh, I'm in the principal's office again. You guys go ahead and do that. And you go out here. I'll deal with this business stuff and I'll catch up with you guys." So now we're in the little territory where I guess Don Callis is in trouble. After all that, Scott D'Amore confronted Don Callis about his misdeeds and discussed now that Callahan beat Moose by disqualification. He didn't say disqualification, he just said beat Moose. He should be added to the Against All Odds match for a three-way. Don Callis is like, "Where do you get these ideas?" And we both know that the agreement with AEW, both sides have to agree. So there's no way Tony Khan will approve of Callahan because he's blacklisted from AEW, which I don't think he is, but maybe. So blacklisted. So Don Callis said, "There's no way Tony Khan is going to approve this match." Scott D'Amore says, "Funny you should ask that because I called Tony Khan and he's coming next week to discuss this match." So that's all fun, right? That's all good fun. So yeah, great night, great show. Definitely a rewatch on Impact Plus when it's ready. But after all that, great night. I am going to read. Oh wait, Steve Macklin, who I think is dating Deonna Purrazzo, made a promo for his vignette. He made a vignette where he actually posted his vignette when he was doing the May 30th stuff, and it had him with a bunch of paperwork on the desk, a bottle of Jameson, and he poured it and he put his feet up on the desk drinking it. Total badass. And so we'll see what that's all about. I don't know when he'll debut, but that's the thing. We'll see. Now I'm going to read the comments, since there's only one person commenting. Hi, Cody. Iron Man match was awesome. Thoughts on released superstars yesterday? Ah, yes, the released superstars. I don't know what to say about that. Some of the people, I'm like, what? Like, I heard that Braun Strowman was given $1 million per year deal. So, don't know if that's true. But, and I'll have to go down the list, but I think it was Buddy Murphy, Braun Strowman, Santana Garrett, Ruby Riott, Aleister Black, and there's one more, but I can't think of the name on top of my head. So yeah, more releases, but the unfortunate news is that they have a 90-day no-compete clause. So they won't be available for Slammiversary. Their time is up at September. So whatever happens in September, I guess that's AEW's advantage because they're having a pay-per-view, I think, All Out in September. So we'll see how that plays out. Rosemary and Havoc should be a tag team. Yep, I think that's on their way out. Stu Young might return, possibly. Kojima and Eddie Edwards versus Valentine's by. That's a good match. Kojima and Eddie Edwards versus Violent by Design for Impact Tag Team Championship. Sure. Decay versus Violent by Design in a Monsters Ball match for it. Oh man. Good match. Sami Callihan and Moose should invade AEW Dynamite. Yeah, but I don't think that's in the cards. Sami Callihan versus Lance Archer in an Anything Goes match, which is basically a no-holds-barred match. Deonna Purrazzo versus Britt Baker. That's a possibility. Morrissey versus Madman Fulton. Possibility. Tommy End should show up to Impact Wrestling. Possibly. Iron Man match between TJP and Josh Alexander was awesome. You already said that. I hope released superstars go to Impact Wrestling or AEW. Kojima should... No, he shouldn't. No, that's a horrible idea. Kojima should win the Impact World Championship. No. That's horrible. He's a good wrestler, but he doesn't... It's not like he doesn't deserve that title. It's just a bad idea to give him it. Oh, anyways, that is the end of my show, and I will be seeing you next week. Laters.